What if one appearance was enough to freeze an entire industry in place? What if a single arrival, set against snow-covered mountains and an unforgiving winter sky, could trigger millions of conversations without a single word spoken? And what if this moment wasn't planned to shock the world, but did so anyway? Before you continue, ask yourself this: are you watching fashion, or are you witnessing history in real time? If you feel the tension already, don't look away. Stay with us, leave your thoughts in the comments, and if moments like this define why you follow global pop culture, make sure you like, subscribe, and join the conversation now, because what you're about to read is not just news, it's a phenomenon. Aspen has always been a symbol of quiet power. A place where wealth whispers, not shouts. Where the cold is sharp, the air is thin, and appearances are rare but deliberate. Yet in the winter of 2026, something shifted. The mountains remained still, the snow continued to fall, but the global atmosphere changed the moment Jennie of BLACKPINK arrived for the Moncler Grenoble Fall/Winter 2026 show. This was not a red carpet in Paris or Milan, not a neon-lit stage in Seoul or Los Angeles. This was Aspen, raw, restrained, and unforgiving. And that is precisely why the impact was so powerful. From the first circulating images, there was an unmistakable feeling that this was different. Not louder, not flashier, just colder, sharper, and infinitely more controlled. Jennie appeared wrapped in a sculptural winter ensemble that blurred the line between armor and elegance. It was functional yet intimidating, minimal yet commanding. There was no need for excess, no forced theatrics. The message was clear without explanation. Presence is power. What shocked observers was not simply how Jennie looked, but how the environment seemed to respond to her. The snow became a backdrop rather than a barrier. The cold became an accessory, not an obstacle. In a setting designed to test endurance, Jennie did not adapt to the surroundings adapted to her. This is where the phrase "Ice Queen mode" stopped being a metaphor and became an accurate description. For years, Jennie has been discussed as a fashion icon, a trendsetter, a muse. But Aspen marked a turning point in the narrative. This was not about wearing a brand. This was about embodying a concept. Moncler Grenoble has always represented technical mastery and alpine heritage, but in this moment, that identity fused with Jennie's global image in a way that felt almost inevitable. It raised a quiet but unsettling question within the fashion world. When a single individual becomes inseparable from a brand's vision, who is leading whom? As cameras captured her movements, measured, deliberate, unhurried, there was an emotional contrast that many couldn't ignore. Jennie did not seek attention, yet attention followed her relentlessly. She did not perform, yet the world watched as if she were. In an era defined by overexposure and constant noise, her restraint felt radical. And perhaps that was the real shock. Social media reacted instantly, but not in the usual chaotic way. Instead of fleeting trends, there was analysis. Instead of memes, there were essays. Fans and critics alike began dissecting every detail, every glance, every fold of fabric. Was this a calculated reinvention, or simply Jennie being Jennie in a setting that amplified her aura? The lack of a clear answer only deepened the intrigue. Emotionally, the moment resonated far beyond fashion. For many fans, seeing Jennie stand alone against the vastness of Aspen felt symbolic. It echoed themes of independence, evolution, and quiet confidence. This was not the Jennie of early debuts or headline-making controversies. This was an artist and icon who had learned the power of stillness. And that stillness spoke louder than any declaration ever could. The Moncler Grenoble FW 2026 show itself unfolded like a cinematic sequence, but even within that carefully curated world, Jennie's presence remained a focal point. Designers, editors, and industry insiders noted how her appearance reframed the collection. Suddenly, the garments weren't just winter wear, they were statements of resilience, composure, and dominance over harsh conditions. Whether intentional or not, Jennie became the human translation of the collection's core philosophy. What made the moment even more compelling was its unpredictability. There was no dramatic announcement, no overproduced reveal. Jennie simply arrived. And yet, that arrival rippled outward, crossing borders and industries. Music fans discussed fashion. Fashion fans discussed cultural power. Casual observers, drawn in by a single image, found themselves asking why this moment felt heavier than others. Could this be the quiet blueprint for the future of global influence? A future where impact is measured not by volume, but by gravity? Where presence outweighs promotion. Jennie's Aspen appearance seemed to suggest exactly that. As night fell and the temperatures dropped further, the imagery became even more striking. Against the darkness and snow, her silhouette remained unmistakable. It was in these moments that the emotional weight truly settled in. This wasn't about proving relevance. It was about confirming inevitability. Jennie was not chasing status. She was occupying it. The phrase global icon is often used too easily, diluted by repetition. But moments like this restore its meaning. A global icon does not need to explain themselves. They create moments that others spend years interpreting. Aspen became such a moment. The story does not end when the lights dim and the snow settles. In fact, that is where the deeper meaning begins to unfold. Long after the Moncler Grenoble FW 2026 show concluded, the images from Aspen continued to circulate, not fading but intensifying in impact. Each repost, each quiet reaction, each paused scroll reinforced the same unspoken realization. This was not a fleeting fashion moment. It was a marker in time. What made this appearance so powerful was its refusal to beg for validation. Jennie did not explain herself through interviews or captions. She did not narrate the moment for the audience. Instead, she allowed interpretation to become part of the experience. In doing so, she placed the power back into the hands of the viewer, forcing the world to ask its own questions. Why did this feel heavier than other appearances? Why did the silence around it feel intentional rather than empty? Emotionally, there was a sense of distance that felt deliberate. Jennie was present, yet unreachable. Visible, yet untouchable. This distance did not alienate audiences. It drew them closer. In a culture obsessed with access and overexposure, the refusal to overexplain became an act of control. Aspen was not a place for confession. It was a place for command. Observers within the fashion world quietly acknowledged something else as well. The setting mattered. Aspen is not forgiving. It strips away illusion. In extreme cold, discomfort cannot be hidden. Weakness becomes visible. And yet, Jennie appeared unshaken, as if the environment itself was part of her design. This subtle harmony between figure and setting elevated the narrative beyond styling. It suggested alignment, not coincidence. There is also an underlying emotional contradiction that made the moment resonate so deeply. The imagery was cold, but the reaction was intense. The atmosphere was restrained, but the response was explosive. That tension between calm and chaos, silence and reaction, became the engine that drove its virality. People were not reacting to spectacle, they were reacting to restraint. For fans, this moment carried a quiet sense of pride. It felt like watching someone step fully into their own gravity. Not louder than before, not flashier, but undeniably heavier in presence. It suggested growth without announcement, evolution without disruption. That kind of transformation is rare, and when it happens, it lingers for critics. It raised uncomfortable but necessary questions.